This film begins while showing a boy who was going to school. His name is Tom. As he reaches school, we sees a girl named Lucy. She says to him that, "I heard that you are too good at studies, will you help me?" In the evening, when Tom goes to that girl's house, he sees that her brother was lying on the floor. He was faint. He becomes very worried. He goes to his friend's room to ask her that, what happened with him. He sees that a man comes out of her room. He was recording something with his mobile. Meanwhile, another man comes out. They wear a mask. They start shooting Tom, but Tom suddenly runs from there. He runs from there to call the police. Those robbers fires at him. Here we are not shown that who were they, but because of their firing, Tom was badly injured. He gets faint. When he opens his eyes, his grandmother was sitting near him. His doctor was saying that no need to worry. But there is a problem. When they shoot you, at that time your mobile was near your ear. And when that bullet passes your mobile, some pieces of the mobile went into your brain. But we can't take out those pieces. Now I am sad while telling you that nothing can be done now. Then Tom was returning home with his grandmother. He sees that the radio numbers of the car seemed strange to him. He was seeing all the signals in front of him. It happens the same with him when he returns home. He couldn't understand that what is happening to him. Being irritated, Tom sleeps. The next day when he wakes up, his grandmother tells him that someone has forced Lucy on that day. I feel that you should go to her to ask about her condition. When Tom arrives at Lucy's home, he sees that her brother was sitting. They start talking to each other. Then Tom also notices that he can easily see the signals of the Wi-Fi of her house. After it, he meets Lucy. After a good conversation, he returns home. When he sees outside the window of his room, he also sees the signals there. He couldn't understand anything, and gets faint. It was happening due to those pieces of the mobile. After it, he sees a vision of a bad boy. He was in his school and he was famous by the name of Bad Boy, because he teases everyone. Tom understands that on that day when someone forced Lucy, he was also there. Tom tells these things to his best friend, but he says that this is your misunderstanding. You are thinking wrong. How is this possible? After it, they sit on the school bus. All students were using their mobiles. Tom was also seeing their signals. He was lost in his own thoughts. Meanwhile, his best friend tells him that there is a party in the evening. Will you come? Then Tom says, I can't say anything. Now Tom has arrived at school. All the students were using their mobiles in the classroom, but Tom was seeing the mobile of that bad boy. That what is he seeing and what are his activities? Because Tom was suspicious about him. After it, we see that the bad boy receives a video. When Tom sees it while using his energy, he comes to know that was the video of happening with Lucy of that day. Tom gets aggressive while seeing it, so he collects all the signals, due to which the mobile of that bad boy gets broke. Here we come to know that Tom can crash anyone's mobile phone like this. At night, Tom goes to that party about which his best friend told him. There were also the other friends of the bad boy. Their shoes were alike those men who were at Lucy's house on that day. Tom again gets aggressive with that bad boy. He starts staring at him, but that bad boy does not like this. He immediately comes to Tom and says that, what was your problem? They were about to fight, but then Tom's best friend arrives there and stops their fight. Then Tom returns home. Tom again feels his powers. He was seeing the calculations of the number. He also learned hacking while using his powers. Then he sends a text on that bad boy's number that, I am keeping an eye on you. But he does not tell his name. He sends the same text on his friend's cell phones. After it, he goes to Lucy. He says to her, let's go for some outing. They have some casual talks about school and exams. Meanwhile, they face that bad boy. That bad boy and his friends come in front of them. They say that we are feeling bad for Lucy. We will find that who has done this with her. But Tom knows that this is all done by bad boy, so he becomes aggressive. He says bad boy to leave from here. Hearing it, bad boy also becomes aggressive. He starts fighting with them. Tom takes Lucy from there and leaves her at her home. And when he was returning from there, he sees that the bad boy and his friends were trying to steal a car. They break its lock and go inside it. And when they sit in that car, Tom locks that car while using his powers. That bad boy and his gang try to move out from there. Tom enjoys this scene. Then while using his powers, Tom increases the heat in the car. Due to it, that car catches fire. Now they are stuck in the car. Then they listen to Tom's voice on the car's radio. Tom says, "So you are the people who have done wrong with Lucy." Now they were really scared. They know that this hacker will not leave them. They say, "Yes, we have done this." Tom says to them, "Tell me about your boss, whom give you this gun and says you to do this all." They say that he is a drug dealer. Tom leaves them and returns home to know about that drug dealer. The next day, Tom arrives at that place where that drug dealer lives. He opens his car and starts making it dirty. Then he records its video and plays it on that drug dealer's TV screen by using his powers. When that man sees all this, he immediately comes out in anger. He didn't see anyone outside. Getting a chance from it, Tom gets inside his house. He breaks all the devices and ruined all the things. After it, he picks packets of drugs from his house. He divides that into many packets and leaves those packets in that bad man and his friend's house. Then he informs the police. The police raid their house and they come to know that there are drugs in their house. The police arrest them all. Then Tom makes the bank account of that drug dealer empty. That drug dealer wasn't understanding anything. So he calls his boss and tells everything to him. His boss says, "Okay, I am sending you more drugs. Take care this time." Tom also comes to know all this. Now the place where will the drugs arrive? Tom arrives there while covering his face. But that drug dealer sees Tom there and beats him a lot. Then Tom increases the electromagnetic signals there while using his powers, due to which their bodies start aching. Tom was badly injured. He gets faint in his way. He comes into his senses in the morning and he comes home. He sees that the drug dealer and his boss came to his house. They were scaring his grandmother. Then that boss says, "I know that you have a lot of powers. You can control the signals. You can hack anyone's mobile. Even you can also control anyone's bank account." Further he says, "Hack the bank accounts of people for me. Take that money and give it to me. And if you will not do this, I have kidnapped Lucy, and you knows the rest very well." Boss insists Tom that money should be immediately transferred to my account. Then Tom gets an idea that, if I can hack the mobile, so I could call the police from Lucy's phone, he does the same. After knowing the location, the police arrives to Lucy's location. Here we come to know that the secret of Tom that has been revealed to the boss was done by his own best friend. He deceives Tom for money. That boss calls the bad boy who kidnapped Lucy. He was not picking his call. Then the boss goes there with his companions and Tom. The gang of that bad boy had hidden with Lucy. Meanwhile, their gun falls down and Lucy picks it. Then she points the gun at them. She says to them, "Didn't you feel embarrassed? I was your class fellow and was like your sister. The day when you have done this to me, I recognized you. I recognized you with your voice. But I stayed quiet because I was not believing." They apologize to her. Lucy comes out from there. Then she sees that the boss of that drug dealer was standing in front of her. He again catches Lucy. Then Tom arrives there. The boss says to Tom that, "Transfer all the money to my account immediately, otherwise Lucy will not survive." After hearing all this, Tom was getting aggressive. He blasts their mobile phones. Due to it, they all get injured. After it, Tom leaves from there while taking Lucy, but then that boss arrives from behind. Now Tom again collects all the signals and blasts on them. Due to it, they all die. That bad boy also dies. Here Tom also gets faint, but the next day, when he wakes up and he is in hospital and his grandmother is also with him. Then many days passed. Everything becomes normal. Now Tom was again going towards Lucy's home. He meets his best friend in the way. His friend asks him to forgive him. He says, "I am embarrassed. I have done this for the sake of money. Please forgive me." Tom says, "Please stop. I knew that, on that day you were at Lucy's house, you were recording all those things. But I didn't say anything to you, because I know that you are my good friend. I gave you one more chance so that you will understand. But you are not trustworthy, so never come in front of me." After saying it, Tom meets with Lucy. Then they spend a good time together. With it, the movie ends. I hope that you liked the video. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.